All right, let's jump right in. Today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty fascinating. We're talking ancient organizational wisdom. Have you ever heard of Numbers 4?
I have.
Well, just in case some of our listeners haven't. It's basically this section of the Bible. And it's kind of like an ancient manual. It's how the Israelites moved their sacred tabernacle through the wilderness.
Right. It's amazing how detailed it is.
Yeah.
Like a blueprint for a massive operation.
Mhm.
Really, what gets me is it really highlights the importance of clear roles and responsibilities.
So picture this. You have this big elaborate structure, the tabernacle. It needs to be packed up and moved every time they move camp.
Yeah.
And then they have to reassemble it perfectly.
Yeah.
Talk about a logistical nightmare.
And to avoid chaos, they had a very specific system. They had a system in place. Each Levite clan was assigned a task based on their abilities.
So they didn't just throw people into the mix randomly.
No, they didn't. It wasn't random.
You
They
just
had
did.
the Kohathites. They handled the most sacred objects.
Wow.
Like the Ark of the Covenant.
Can you imagine the responsibility?
Oh, yeah.
These were not just some ordinary pieces of furniture.
Yeah.
These were holy relics.
Absolutely. And the text emphasizes that the priests, Aaron and his sons, they had to carefully prepare these items before the Kohathites could even touch them.
Oh, wow.
Talk about respect for boundaries and the secret.
Respect for boundaries and the sacred is sacred. It makes you wonder, do we have that same level of reverence for the important things in our lives today, even if they're not literally holy objects?
That's a really good question, I think. That's something worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Imagine if we applied that same level of care to things like healthcare.
Or finance.
Yes, finance. It's about recognizing the weight of responsibility
Yeah.
that comes with certain tasks.
It wasn't just about handling things carefully, though.
Yeah.
Numbers 4 also lays out this pretty impressive accountability system. Each part of the tabernacle had a person who was responsible for it.
Yes. Accountability was key.
Yeah.
Specific individuals in charge of each piece.
So the
Our
art,
friends.
the polls,
Everything.
it's almost like an ancient version of a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Or project management software.
Yeah.
They didn't just delegate tasks and hope for the best. They made sure people knew what they were accountable for.
Absolutely.
That probably helped avoid a lot of finger pointing
I would imagine.
when things went wrong.
Of course. And that's a principle that's still so relevant today.
It is.
Clear documentation,
Reporting structures.
regular check-ins.
Mhm.
These are all ways to create accountability in the workplace today.
It's like this ancient wisdom is telling us.
Yeah.
If you want things to run smoothly, you need clear roles. You need a deep respect for what you're doing and a system that makes sure everyone's accountable.
Right.
Who knew an ancient text about moving a tent could be so insightful?
There's even more to uncover. We're just getting started.
Okay, so there's another layer here.
Yeah, Numbers 4. It specifies that the Levites chosen for these tasks had to be between 30 and 50 years old.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Why the age restriction?
That's a great question.
Hmm.
I think it shows how much they valued experience.
Interesting.
These weren't jobs for the inexperienced or impulsive. Right.
It required maturity,
Okay.
judgment, a steady hand.
They understood that wisdom and experience are assets, not liabilities.
Absolutely. And that's something we often forget today.
We do. We do.
In a world that prioritizes youth and speed,
Yes,
it's refreshing
it is.
to see that perspective.
They recognize that certain tasks require not just physical ability, but also the life experience to handle the pressure and make the right decisions.
Exactly.
So they were basically saying, hey, you young folks, you have all the energy, you have all the enthusiasm, but let's let the seasoned veterans handle the really important stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? That ties back into accountability. You know, people with more life experience, they're often more aware of the consequences of their actions. They've learned to think things through, not just rush in.
So that's probably why they were trusted with the most sacred objects and responsibilities.
So we have this blueprint for organization, but it's also a reminder that wisdom and experience are important, especially in leadership roles.
Absolutely. And these principles, they aren't limited to just handling sacred objects or managing camps.
Right.
They apply to any area of life where we need to work together to reach a goal.
So whether we're leading a team at work or organizing a community event.
Or even managing our own households.
Yeah.
This ancient wisdom, it has something to teach us.
Okay. So how can we apply this to our lives today?
Think about it. How often do we try to take on too much ourselves?
Oh, all the time.
Do we delegate effectively?
Nope.
Do we blur the lines between our responsibilities and those of others?
Yes, definitely guilty of that.
And that can lead to stress and burnout,
Definitely.
resentment,
Yeah.
If we apply these principles of delegation, clear roles, respect for boundaries
Okay.
in our personal lives, it can create a more balanced environment.
So even our relationships with friends and family,
Yes.
significant others,
Mm-hmm.
can benefit from a little ancient organizational wisdom.
Absolutely.
It's like we're bringing order and intentionality to all aspects of our lives.
Precisely. And that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay. Tell me more.
This idea of approaching tasks with reverence, like those priests preparing the sacred objects,
Yeah.
it can be applied to even mundane things.
Like what? Give me an example.
Let's say you're making dinner for your family. Instead of just seeing it as another chore,
Right.
what if you approached it like you're creating something special, something nourishing?
I love that.
It's powerful.
Yeah. It's like you're elevating the everyday
Exactly.
into something more meaningful.
And that can change everything. Not just how you approach the task, but the people you're sharing the meal with. They feel it too.
They feel the care.
Yes, the care and intention.
It's like you're infusing the ordinary with a sense of the sacred,
That's a great way to put it.
just like they did with the tabernacle.
Exactly. And it reminds me of another detail from Numbers 4.
Okay.
Remember how each clan had a specific duty?
Yeah.
Like the Gershonites handling the curtains?
Yes. It wasn't just about the Kohathites and the ark. Everyone had a role to play.
Exactly. And that's important. It speaks to the value of every contribution.
So no matter how big or small,
It's all part of something larger.
so even if you're not carrying the Ark of the Covenant, you're still contributing to the mission.
Yes. And that recognition, that sense of belonging,
Right.
a shared purpose.
Yeah.
It's crucial for any team or community.
It's about valuing each person's contribution,
Yeah,
not just those in the spotlight.
exactly.
It's amazing how this ancient text, it's about moving a tent through the wilderness. But it can offer these profound insights into human nature,
It's incredible.
how we work together.
It speaks to the power of these principles. Whether we're talking about ancient Israelites or modern teams, the fundamentals of organization stay the same.
So to wrap up, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
What ancient wisdom can they apply to their modern lives? I think the most important thing is we can all benefit from being more intentional, having more reverence for the things we do, and appreciating everyone's contributions.
About bringing a sense of purpose to everything we do.
Yes. Leading a team, preparing a meal, interacting with the people we love.
It's about finding the sacred in the everyday.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like we're taking a page right out of this ancient playbook and using it to navigate our modern world.
I think so. And you know what really strikes me
What's that?
is how these principles, they really resonate across different times and cultures.
I think you're right. It makes you wonder if maybe deep down we're all kind of searching for the same things,
Yeah.
like order and meaning, a sense of belonging.
Maybe. And a way to use our talents to contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
It's almost like those Israelites with their organizational system for the tabernacle. They were tapping into something very human.
Maybe we've lost sight of some of these basic truths
What do you mean?
in our pursuit of efficiency and productivity.
Okay,
We rush through our days,
right.
we juggle all these tasks, and we forget about care and intentionality.
And respect for the work itself.
Yes, exactly. We've traded reverence for speed.
And maybe in the process, we've lost a bit of our humanity.
Yeah, I think so. But we can rediscover these values,
Okay.
even in our busy lives.
Absolutely. It starts with a shift in perspective.
How so?
Imagine approaching your work, your relationships, even your chores, with the same care and dedication that the Israelites had for their sacred tasks.
So it's about slowing down, being present, recognizing the meaning in every action.
Yes. It doesn't require grand gestures. It's the small, everyday choices.
Okay.
How we listen to a friend, how we approach a project, how we care for our homes.
It's about infusing our lives with purpose.
That's it.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Numbers 4, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I want them to remember that even in the most ordinary moments, there's an opportunity to show extraordinary care.
So whether you're leading a team folding laundry or even just making a cup of tea,
Approach it with intentionality, respect, a sense of connection to something bigger than yourself.
it's about finding the sacred in the everyday.
Yes.
What a beautiful way to end our deep dive.
It has been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on this journey into ancient wisdom for modern life.
And remember, the next time you feel overwhelmed or disconnected, think about the lessons of Numbers 4.
You might be surprised by what you find there.
You might.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.